what you went through, how did this spiritual quest that you have got clarified or enhanced, or how did the psychoanalysis and some of this help you with your search?
Yeah, so the way I view it is, and this is just a story I tell. How actually true it is unclear, because I think often the stories we tell about what happened don't reflect the full reality of what happened, because for so many reasons, including the fact that
We have
memories,
our own narratives.
we have our own narratives, and often it's just, we construct a narrative, which isn't actually what happened. But anyway, I'll tell you the narrative, which is that, as far as I felt it, in college, I felt like I was stuck and I was searching, why am I not willing to do all these spiritual practices that are supposedly good for me? And then I discovered, I need to understand my own desires better, and I fighting this battle with myself to make myself do things, this inner tyrant kind of idea.
Yeah.
Not a good idea. I always discourage people from this idea of, let me lash myself into doing something. Does not work.
Yeah.
And the whole idea behind a lot of self-help books is, let me whip myself into some frenzy of positive thinking and then go out there and conquer the world. That's not how it works. Not how it works. Not how it works. In my opinion, is you must get in touch with what you actually want. You're not in charge of what you actually want. What you actually want is like the terrain. You can't change the mountains just by waving your hand. There's inner mountains. You have to recognize the geography of your own psychology and work with it. Not try to just sort of make it at whatever you want. You're just not gonna succeed.
Okay.
So all those things, and then recognizing, at a deeper and deeper level, my own desires, which didn't just touch sexuality, but also touched career issues. I thought, I didn't understand what I wanted. I didn't understand what I wanted. I didn't know. I didn't
you
understand
have
what I
3
wanted.
master's degrees, if I'm right.
I have lots of degrees. I have lots of degrees.
Computer science.
Yeah. Right. So I have a law degree. I have multiple master's degrees. One of them from a PhD program that I just left. So I was learning over time what it is that I wanted. I didn't know what it was that I wanted, and I was trying to find what I wanted, but I didn't know how to find what I wanted. So I was kind of in, you might say, as I was doing things that were more and more connected to what I wanted. Right. Psychology was my last one, and that was, the most connected, I would say, of any of these advanced degrees. I was exerting, I was less inauthentic, in a way, you might say. I was more in touch with myself. There was more energy freed up as a result. I was less trying to make myself do something I didn't want to do. So again, energy's freed up. That's a simple way of putting it, I think. And the story I always tell, for example, is, in college, I encountered Ramana Maharishi's work. And, I already had sufficient experience with Vedanta through Swami Bodhananda, and my own thinking and reading and whatnot, that I knew his work was profound and important, and it rang a bell in me. But I also knew that I didn't really fully understand what he was saying. So over the next decade or so after that, going through all these sort of psychological explorations, and spirituality was always there, right? It never completely disappeared. It varied exactly, whether it was in the background sometimes or the middle ground, but I was always in the back of my thoughts at minimum somewhere. And after that decade, when I re-encountered Maharishi's work, suddenly it made much more sense. And I think it's because of the clarity of mind that was generated from all the psychological exploration, from the exploration that made me less conflict with myself. And as a result, it freed up my powers of seeing and concentrating. I'm giving a kind of energetic explanation. I'm not sure that's the best explanation, but that's an explanation. All these explanations are just metaphors, after all. So something changed that freed me up, that gave me clarity, that allowed me to suddenly see these connections in the material. I could understand what Maharishi was saying better. And that kicked off a process of a couple of years, or maybe less, of it must be a couple of, anyway, whatever, a year or two of really, really intense sadhana, and that led to final clarity, in a sense. So yeah, that's how I view the structure as relating. So there was an interconnection. Your spirituality is running as a thread all the way through, and then the psychological assumed a kind of prominence for about a decade. But I think that there is an interpenetration of the two. That they are separate domains, but at the same time, the spiritual is influence the psychological, because as you go into the spiritual, you also free up the ability to see more of yourself. As you get in touch with inner peace, spiritual peace, you become freer to experience more of your inner psyche, even those parts that might have been scary or shameful, embarrassing, and uncomfortable. Because there's a certain buffer of inner peace, your ability to withstand those revelations increases. And meanwhile, as you heal psychologically, you feel yourself to increase your self-esteem, and you see more about yourself that you didn't see before. As those things change, your clarity of mind increases, and therefore your ability to discern and maintain the continuity of the spiritual practices also increases. So it's a kind of mutual relationship that way.
Thank you for saying that, because that's the interrelationships between the spiritual and the psychological is something that many people don't pay sufficient attention to.